CJ Hobgood, super realtor, super dad, super surfer, super all the above. Thanks for coming out. I'd like to start by saying I will never do one of these inside ever again. This is incredible. Appreciate you coming out today, brother.
Yeah, we're certainly selling it. I don't know what we're selling, but we're doing our jobs.
The Florida lifestyle.
Yeah, there we go. The Florida lifestyle.
Yeah, Florida lifestyle, because that's exactly what Florida needs. More marketing to get people to move here, right?
You know what, man? It is just quietly the gold rush, dude. Everyone's like, you know what? I'm just going to send my money to Florida.
Yeah. I'm not complaining
even
yet.
If they don't even need to come. They just send their money here.
Yeah, I know.
That's even better.
Buy me a house.
That's even better. No, yeah, do something with it.
It is nice. It is nice. And, you know, we got a million things to talk about, but the migration to Florida. See that, dude? You put us microphones in our hands, we immediately jump into real estate. That's bad. That's bad. It's okay. We can rewind. So first off, you know, we got a million topics to cover with you, but just give me the inception into real estate, which is probably going to parlay. I already know it, so I don't want to blow any secrets, but it involves your wonderful wife, but you got to talk about how you met your wonderful wife, which also plays into your history. So run through it, dude. Give me that.
Wow, that's whew. There's you know, I mean, cutting through the simplest version. I've, by the grace of God, thank you, God. I've always had really good people around me. I've always been surrounded by awesome people that just push me to the front of the line. You know, I think that's probably the simplest version. And I've always sold something. Obviously, surfing my whole life. I was on tour for 17 years, and I sold myself.
Yep.
And it's funny because you'll probably hear me say this a few times. We had a saying whenever we surfed and we were on tour, like, surfers are the worst, right? You know, I mean, wifey would call you, how's it going? Oh, or it's bad. It's real, you know, it's super hard. But yeah, surfers are the worst. But dude, I think realtors might. I don't know if they've taken the title or they're tied or a close second.
Well, you know, realtors send me a lot of business, so I can't say anything bad about them on camera.
Well, I can because I'm a realtor now.
All right. All right. You said it, not me. Realtors are the worst. Tell me more.
Well, and I sort of that popped into my head because I was like, I sold myself forever.
Yep.
In being a surfer, and then I was like, you know, and then my wife was like, hey, you need to get a job. I was doing sales with Salty Crew.
Yep.
We started a nice shirt, by the way.
Thank you. Hey, this podcast brought to you by Salty Crew, which also, hey, listen, not to brag, but I think I'm the first ever mortgage lender to get a Salty Crew sponsor. Like, come on, dude, that's
true.
cool.
It's documented.
It's well documented. Yeah, swag sponsorship, first lender ever. Chalk it up. All right, so you're working in sales for Salty Crew, which you helped start with a couple guys.
Yeah,
and Courtney comes to you and tells you to get a job. Another job.
Seriously, yeah,
More
another
jobs.
job. So in 2014, January, February, with some guys, friends, I didn't start the brand. I wasn't the founder, but I was one of the early guys that they brought in.
Yep.
To fly the flag. I was still on tour. I'd go to retail surf shops, tell them about the product. I wasn't even really trying to sell at that point, and then I got into the sales rep for Florida with Salty Crew. So that's sort of coming out where I've sold myself for, you know, CJ Look at Me Surf for 17 years to Salty Crew. Then I went into the state of Florida for repping.
Okay.
And then it grew, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I got to get out of South Florida. It's too hectic for me. And so I took North Florida. A buddy took South Florida. And then brought to you by Delta Airlines.
Yeah, dude. That's the one problem with this house, not to talk real estate again. That flyover.
Dude, my house is worse. Dude, I got that municipal airport by mine.
That's a bummer. Yeah, well, these are louder. But It's okay. We can always
And-
take a little break. So, all right. So, South Florida's crazy. You're like,
Yes.
all right, I'm going to work the North Florida territory.
I do North Florida, then it's going great, and then I'm like, hey, let me jump into international sales and marketing, and then it was in late February, I think. We're about to jump a flight to Japan, Tokyo, and I call my buddy, and it was before we went on lockdown, and I'm like, hey, listen, like, I went through Tokyo when SARS was a thing.
Yeah.
And it's pretty full on there. So, like, there could be a chance we get stuck there. Like, we can figure it out.
Yeah.
And then so he talked to his wife, and this was Jared, the founder, and he's like, yeah, we're not going. I was like, okay, no worries. All right. And the next thing you know, March rolls around, and then
The music stops. The
music
world
stops.
is over. Yeah.
Courtney looks at me and she's like, what the hell are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. She's like, why don't you go get your real estate license,
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but I barely graduated and I haven't taken a test in forever, right? And she's like, you'll figure it out. So I got my real estate license, towards the end of 2020 there. And so that's sort of the runway there.
Yeah.
Into real estate.
And I remember I was working with Courtney at the time, and she was like, listen, here's the deal. My husband's getting in the biz.
Can you wipe his ass?
she had nothing.
Sure.
She had nothing but wonderful things to say about you. She's like, don't worry. Like, here's the deal. Guy's wonderful, genuine, big following.
Talking me up.
Yeah, talking you up big time.
Thanks, honey.
But then, then the vision of Hobgood real estate team, all that kind of really came together. I remember even when she showed me like the brand day one with like the little palm trees and everything. I was like, no way, that shit's way too detailed. That's never going to embroider on a shirt. She's like, he might actually know a thing or two about apparel. I'm not sure. He might know some guys. I was like, all right, cool. Like, let's see where it rolls. And then, bring it to today. You guys are very successful at what you do. But in the same breath, like, you don't run some crazy huge team. You've got work-life balance. You've got young kids, you've got college-age kids. You're able to balance all that out. You're able to focus on family. You're able to focus on travel, do all that stuff. So, like, you found that niche, dude, which is super cool.
Yeah, and I it's always ever evolving, ever learning, and man, it's moving fast nowadays, obviously.
Yeah.
But we have scaled things before, and I think we talk about that a lot, is right, the joy to cost ratio, and it's like everyone can sit up here and tell you like, hey, scale it, get bigger, throw a team member, do this for more house. But like, man, there's a lot that God, but then you talk about husband, family, kids, and it's like,
Yeah.
you got to learn how to fight for them. You got to learn how to fight for your kids. You got to learn how to fight for your wife. You got to these sort of real-time things that you're learning how to fight for, and then you open up your phone and they're telling you how to scale something to the moon. So it's like there's all those things are butting up against each other pretty hardcore, and to be able to sort of find your way through all those weeds and sort of really have those silos and sort of work them in a sense is not easy.
It's really easy to say, hey, add a team member and you'll make X amount of dollars more. It's very difficult to say, hey, add a team member and that's going to equate to one less date night with your spouse, one less sporting event that you're going to see your kid at, blah, 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 blah. So
yeah, back to the, you only got so many hours in the day, and then boom, you gave that hour to that, and then now that hour to that doesn't exist.
Yep.
So, and that's just what it is, but you got to go through the fire. You got to do all those things, and so
yeah,
I know I'm kind of chasing my tail here, but surfers are the worst. The realtors are right there.
Realtors are right up there with them. Yeah, no, I feel that. It is difficult. And real estate in general, it's a tough market to be in, and it's crazy, and it's getting crazier by the day, certainly in Central Florida because it's hot. But, look, it is what it is. But I said this to you earlier before we started chatting on camera, but like the cool thing about you and like why I've just reached out to you personally when I'm thinking about doing something that's in another realm that maybe I'm not as familiar with, or like, you know, looking at investing in something or going into something that I just might not know that much about. You're a dude who's kind of throughout his professional career gone in a direction, said, hey, I think I can do this, takes a shot at it and makes it work. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say like, all right, not to downplay surfing. Like, dude, you were freaking like #1 surfer in the world at one point competition, right? Like, that was you, dude. That was you. So like, let's not diminish that. But that is one in a series of professional conquests that I would say you were successful at, because you see things and you're like, all right, like I can do this, I can try this, I can tackle this. Like, let's take a look at it. Let's see what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I'm thinking that are going through my head when you're saying that. You know, the first thing is something that I always tell my kids, like, everything is hard until you do it. It's really hard, but once you do it, Dad, that was easy.
Yeah.
Right? You know, so, and that goes with everything in life. So, and I've always sort of play that mantra because, you know, you start to get into real estate and everyone's going to tell you how damn competitive it is. But when I did surfing, the teachers were looking at me and going, 0.01% make it. So if I take that mentality from surfing and then I look at real estate, I'm going like, well, yeah, it's competitive, don't do it. But like, you just did something that was maybe potentially like lesser.
Yeah.
I know those are words, but harder to make it in.
Yeah.
Right? So then when I look at that, I'm like, okay, I can take that over. So actually odds are even better. Everyone thinks the odds suck, but the odds are better there.
Yep.
Oh, don't start an apparel brand. No one makes it. Right? So those sort of themes, and then
which I'm not even in apparel, and I've heard that. Don't start an apparel brand. Literally no one makes it. Yeah.
Just go light money on fire.
Yeah.
It's better. So yeah, that's sort of, you know, and just taking those things, and like I always say, and I was telling you before, I was like, listen, you only have to be right once. You only have to be right one time in life, and then all you have to do from that point is leverage everything from that one time you were right, and just keep doing it.
But what if you're wrong a bunch of times afterwards? That could mess you up a little bit. I guess that would fall into the category of not properly leveraging the first right move.
Well, the thing is if you're right once, you can be wrong 10 times.
That's true.
You've done so good with being right once.
Yeah.
It does cover I don't say a multitude of sins, but it covers a multitude of you know, poo-poos.
Yeah, it does.
Only takes one Midas touch to cover 10 poo-poos.
That's my next tattoo. That's my next tattoo. One Midas touch to cover 10 poo-poos. I love that. All right, dude. So you said sins, which is interesting. And we've never actually talked about this. But, dude, your faith is super important to you.
Absolutely. Mind, body, soul. I tell that to my kids. I'm like, man, all those have got to be working in some way, shape, or form for you to be the human that you need to be able to operate in this world, you know?
Has it always been that way?
It has. You know, it always, you know, when I got into surfing, I was 12 years old, grew up Catholic, and it was just the negotiation station. It was like, all right, God, you know, if you let me win this contest, then, you know, no more.
Remember, we're being recorded.
No more drinking. No more hanging out with girls. No more. Yeah, you know, just all the things that you barter with.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's just always been. I don't think I've ever changed there, you know. And I mean, I used to go to Australia, dude, and they would just, oh man, they would just. It was cool because they would tear me a new one. You know, this Christian kid and whatever, but the fun thing was like over like 10-year period, like you didn't change, so you sort of, not that you won them over, but you just became good friends.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just.
You are who you are.
Yeah. That's it.
You know, it's this isn't a fad. This isn't like a gimmick. Like, dude, it's CJ Hobgood. This is me. This is what's important to me. This is how I help kind of make my decisions.
I think that's important. If you've known me 20 years ago and you know me now, hopefully it's just like, wow, dude, I that we haven't missed a beat.
That's a constant factor with you. Yeah. Okay. I love that, dude. You and your brother were super competitive back when you were surfing. Still a thing?
No, we actually, God, it took like, not till we were like 40 years old, like we like started like really enjoying each other. And like, you get, like it was weird. Like when we were 40, I think we got to a point where like, man, life's hard.
Yeah.
Like it's hard, dude. And like, you're a fighter, dude. Like you're, and I was like, man, I really respect you and appreciate you. And I love you, man, you know? And it was like before you loved him, but like you never said a word. It was like, oh, if he's dying, I'll save him. But if he's not dying, then I'm not.
He's on his own, dude.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, and I'm just grateful to even be around, you know, to have a brother, and you know, all my siblings are still alive. So that's a great thing, man. My parents are still alive, so it's
blessed.
Yes.
Have you ever tried to get him wrapped up in real estate?
Damo?
Yeah.
He does financial.
Okay.
Yeah, he went into the financial sector from surfing. So, you know, similar thing where it's like, hey, did you leverage all the goodwill that you had into other sort of categories? But that's another thing I tell my kids.
Yeah.
You can either believe everything's a miracle or you can believe nothing's a miracle.
No in between.
You can be grateful for everything or you can be ungrateful.
Yeah.
You know?
Pretty easy decision.
Pretty easy stuff, right?
Yeah. Pretty easy stuff.
Yeah.
So he went into that world, but there are other professional surfers that have like, don't you guys have like a referral network almost that is like kind of unspoken out there? Dudes that have gone into real estate, like dudes on the West Coast, other markets, even like international, or am I making that up?
No, I mean, you know, the balance is like, you know, the selfishness of a surfer being a surfer. You know, surfers are the worst. But the balance there is there is a brotherhood, and it is an unspoken brotherhood. And I think that's what's hard for surfers. Yeah. You know, and you see it in different things, whether it's, you know, the Army, the Navy, like jiu-jitsu. Like there's certain things where the brotherhood, it's like this unspoken sort of thing, right? So like you have that card there, not that you use it, but the card's always there if you want to use it, for sure. So yeah, that brotherhood exists in the surfing world, and I think that's also what makes it hard when you come out of that world. You know, you're sort of just like wandering like aimlessly sometimes, you know.
What was that transition like from going and, you know, again, being at like the pinnacle of your sport to being like, all right, I need to figure out what's next? Because, I mean, it's not just surfing. Like, professional athletes will exit their role as that professional athlete and be like, shit, what do I do next now? Like, mentally, how do you power through that? How do you overcome it? What's that process look like?
I mean, a lot of it is a setup, you know, because here's a gift, and like no matter what you do, you can always use that gift to get over it. So if I messed up or did something, all I had to do is go win a contest. Everyone was like, yee, killing it.
You're back on the top of the world.
Whoa, you know, and it's just like, but all these other things I was neglecting. Didn't have to answer, didn't have to, you know, when the bell rung, I was like, whatever, dude, just go win a contest. That bell will shut up.
Yep.
So that's the setup, because then you come out of that world and you're like, whoa, now I got to do something that I'm not good at, right? And I can't just go use my gift and win a contest. And like, so now you got to face the music, right? So then Courtney looks at me and she's like, you know, you've been an SOB for so long. Now you're going to have to answer. Yeah. No, surfing ain't going to save your butt anymore. And I mean, for me, you want to talk about faith, dude? I'm just talking on my knees, like just going, God, just get me through this. Like, I don't know. Like, and it's easy for you to look at and go like, oh yeah, he's got, dude, you'll just go do that. You'll just go do that. But in my mind, I'm like, I suck at that. I'm not good at that. I'm going to fail. I'm not, so like.
And why would I go do something I'm mediocre at when I'm so used to being top 0.01% of
Yeah.
everybody that does this thing. That's
So
tough.
it takes a full on like die to self.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, doing things like a couple things that helped me out was doing things I was really bad at it. But if I did it in a physical sense, then I could make sense of it in the sort of mental sort of sense. So like I started running and I was like, man, I'm so bad at this, but doing things you're bad at is going to be really healthy for you. But I did it in a physical sense, so then I could make sense of it from the athlete side of it, not have any gifting and going, oh yeah, but look, people think you're killing it at running. Look, you ran this there, you did the marathon in New York, woohoo! So people thought you're okay, and so I was able to take that sort of parallel and going, okay, I can just duplicate this in the mental world, and that made sense in a very elementary sort of how my brain works. And then I just was like, okay, I got to just keep duplicating that.
Yeah.
Sort of way. Yeah.
I love that. That's actually super cool. And I mean, I say it every time I have a podcast or every time we have like a team celebration.
Dude, you've only had 5. What are you talking about?
All right. All 5 podcasts. Hey, but 50% of the way to being over that hurdle, right?
That's right. I told him, man, if you make it to 10, apparently you're one of the, I mentioned before, Chris, I only made it to like 7 or 8. So 3 more and you're freaking.
I'm ahead of CJ.
And you make it through 10, you're ahead of most people.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll make it there.
Yeah.
Gio, we're going to get there, buddy. But with so much of this, with everything, with a new industry, with working to accomplish something, with doing something, like so much of this is having a supportive spouse. And I'm so mad that Courtney didn't come here today so I could force her to get on camera and call her out and make her blush.
She's the ultimate secret agent,
She's
man.
the operator behind the scenes.
Yeah.
She's the operator behind the scenes.
She
but
is,
but
dude.
real estate aside, having someone who kind of shakes you and says like, all right, like you can't go win a contest. Now you got to do something different. You got to do something hard. Like, dude, that's what makes, everyone, not, everyone operates differently, but so many of like the stories of success that I see, you couldn't do it without that successful partner. And I think that's crazy important.
So what's funny about that? Talking about the gifting, and not doing something you're gifted at. Courtney could sit there and rag on me in surfing. Like, I'd come in from a heat, she's like, what the heck were you doing sitting over there? You idiot, the waves were all over there. And it wouldn't like cut me. It wouldn't, because I was good at it. And I was like, yeah, that's what I thought the ocean was going to do. And it was all good.
Yeah.
Dude, coming from real estate, chew my butt out. And it was like, I could feel
Daggers.
the knife like going through layer and layer and layer until it hit the deepest part. And I'm just sitting there taking it. And I'm in my mind, I'm going, why does this hurt? Why is this cutting so deep? And I'm like, because you're bad, because you're not good at it. It's not your gifting. And I don't want to use it that I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
It's just not my gifting. And then but realizing those things, and instead of squirming out of it and just, doing what guys do, I just took it. And and those are things, back to growing, those are things that have helped me grow a lot.
Yeah.
And I would tell her, I'm like, you're good at it. It's easy for you. You're good.
All right. So when I started working with Courtney in, I guess, like 2019, I'm trying to remember, she was new, like pretty newly licensed, I think, in the game, but I had no clue. I remember thinking like, wow, like this girl can run a transaction. She can negotiate with a listing agent. She can manage buyer expectations, kind of run a deal. And then I had the conversation with her about when she first got licensed and started doing this. And I was like, holy crap, no way. Like, it was very much a surprise to me. So when you talk about like getting a gift of something, that was definitely her gift, like interpersonal relationships, negotiating, understanding a deal.
Yeah, she could see things a few, steps down the road, a few moves ahead.
Yeah.
And dude, she is the master hunter. Like, she can hunt things on the internet, and it's just crazy.
Yeah.
She'll like go down the history rabbit hole of anything, and you're like, dude, how the hell did you figure that out so quick?
So super complimentary skill set for
Yes.
you too, as you're tackling this insane industry that we call residential real estate, right?
Yep.
But you're looking at this whole picture of real estate, right? And you're thinking about other stuff. You're thinking about the wave parks, thinking about kicking off this kind of travel company and all these other things. How do you make sure you're not dividing yourself across too many things, getting spread too thin? Where's the balance? How do you make sure they're complementary? Any gems of guidance you can drop on me there?
I mean, and I do sit there and ask myself a lot of the questions, right? Like, so the blessing is like, yeah, you're good at starting things. The curse is like, after 10 episodes, I'm on to the next thing. Yeah. Oh, there goes a squirrel, right?
Yeah, you had a great idea.
Yeah, so everyone's like, yeah, you got to, but me staying the course for the 10-year, that needs to happen is things I know. So knowing what you're good at and knowing what you're not good at, and constantly asking yourself those questions, and then why are you doing it, right? And what are the symptoms that are going to come from it? And then it's crazy because in the real estate, like, it's so nuts because every time, like when I surfed, it was like you're not supposed to claim it, right? He was like, oh, you claimed it. Mm-hmm. I can't believe you claimed that wave. Like, it was like taboo. Like,
I didn't know that rule.
Yeah, it's not really a rule anymore because the YouTube effect sort of threw that out the window.
Okay.
But when I was a kid, if my elders saw, like, if I claimed something, or they would be like, you had to sandbag everything. It was like, you got the best barrel of your life. Like, oh, it was all right. It was okay. And it was funny because I'd sort of develop that sandbagger mentality. And finally people would be looking at me like, dude, that person just met you on the airplane, doesn't know you from Adam, and you're just sandbagging them like it's like your buddy that you don't want to claim something to. And I'm like, you're right. I should, not do that. But so then you get into real estate and it's like, it's a complete other thing. Every time I the ink dries, I got to post it on social media that like, look, under contract. It's like, and it's tough.
Enter this podcast, right? This was uncomfortable for me, but I felt like it kind of had to be done to stay relevant in this real estate game. Because it's what you got to do. Like, so to your point, like, realtors fart, you got to make a post about it, right?
Yeah, dude. I mean, it was a good one. It was loud. Yeah. It didn't stink too bad. And, I'm claiming it.
But you're claiming everything. You got to be on social media. It can become difficult.
I mean, the grinder's meant to chew them out and just spit them out, and everyone's just like fog of war, like which way's up? I don't know, transactions, what's that? And then but what I was gonna say was like, okay, so you can look at those things, but then you can still make it authentic to yourself, right? Mm-hmm. You can still go, okay, yeah, but this is, so I'll constantly remind myself, it's like, hey, the people you attract are surfers, fishermen, beach lifestyle. So it's like you still want to. It's such a copycat league, man. I mean, like, real estate's just like, oh my gosh, they got that email template. Like, suck it in, send it out. Yeah. Duplicate, repeat. So, but you can still look at those things, stop, do a couple tweaks to make it your own. Yeah. And then send it out.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I think the wonderful thing about real estate being such like a hyper local, you've got an individual or a husband and wife or a team that's local to a market. You can go to these conventions. Tom Ferry is going on in Orlando right now as we speak, and you can like see what's been successful for other really successful high producing agents elsewhere in the country. And their market is so far removed from yours. You can look at it, you can take away why it worked, and then, like you said, you can tweak 2 or 3 things to make it authentic to you, your background, who you are, what your culture is, and what sort of client you're looking to serve, and how you add value. Rinse and repeat, man. There's nothing wrong with that, like, at all, in my opinion.
And that's a great point, Chris. There's nothing wrong with that, and I'll give you a good example here. So, me and Damien were doing this documentary, and at the end we were gonna finally go to a place together. We had never been on a trip together, just me and him.
Okay.
And we're trying to think of what spot can we go to that sort of tells our story and everything. And every wave had been, a lot of waves have been surfed. And it was so, for us, it was like, which one hasn't been on the radar for the last 10 years? And we were like, let's go to G-Land. Like, that was falling off the radar.
Yeah.
And to your point, yes, it's all been done before, but there are a lot of things that haven't been done in a while.
Yeah.
So why don't you just find something that worked really well at some point, and it had no one's doing it, and then just bring it back to life, bring some life in it, And that rinse and repeat is absolutely what you're looking for.
Yeah.
How'd
the wave go?
It was. I mean, did you see the documentary? Come on, bro.
Fair point. You got me. Yeah. All right. Assigned reading for this evening, but you're here to tell the tale.
But yeah, so I mean, I think it's, when and a lot of people call it, like find the white space, like, and then just I mean, I see people, what's his name, Jesse and he's like, pickles haven't been done in a while. I'm gonna breathe life into pickles, and he's starting this pickle thing, and he's running it off and it's just like a buddy, put like mohawks on helmets and just like, I mean, they just started new Yeti when coolers have been around forever. It's just that sort of thinking and understanding of like, people are going to buy and sell houses their whole life. So just find some stuff some white space or something that hasn't done in a while, and just boom.
Yeah.
Throw your name on that.
All right. Perfect segue. Can't believe I didn't write this down. Really wanted to talk about it. Dude, I forget what you came over for. It was, it was a housewarming present. Yeah, housewarming present. You're in my driveway, building my Traeger for me, right? Like, what a dude, great guy. Talk to me about like Traeger. Are you still aligned with that brand? Like, I know Bowie was doing some stuff. What's the story there?
Yeah, I mean, that's a. Well, first of all, you're a great guy, Chris. You're smart, and part of my going, whoa, dude, this guy's way smarter than I am in categories that I don't know my butt from the hole in the ground. Like, I got to spend time with Chris. And that's why I signed up for this podcast, right? Because I was like, spend time with Chris. All right, that's part of the educational process here.
So I totally had you fooled.
No, dude, check. Man. I mean, I swear, when I listen to you on the phone, I'm like, I need that. I want that in my regimen.
But you don't, because you can just do, not that I'm one of these smart people, but you can do what you've always done, is just like have the idea, right, and then prop up the team.
Send it on the way.
Yeah.
But no, Traeger is funny because when we started Salty Crew, a guy high up at Traeger was like, no way, what are you guys doing? And dude, Beavis and Butthead, it took a couple years later, we're like, dude, I think he was like looking to buy us early on or putting in some investment money on, like, we didn't even know, right?
No way.
And we, like I said, we love the guys there, and it was just like-minded, and we were just like, yeah, dude, like, this stuff's epic, right? So
yeah.
and then so the relationships, right? And it's just sort of just wherever it went, and I was just like, obviously I always said, the way to someone's heart is through their belly. So I was like, freaking build them a grill and see what happens,
And is that still like your housewarming present when you like close
the
deal?
it is. And they always said like, whoa, that's not sustainable. And it's not sustainable. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I still give them away just because, man, I love people, man.
Yeah.
And it's fun to do.
Yeah.
And to always think of like, every time they fire that thing up, they're going to remember you.
Every single time I fire it up, I'm like, dude.
That's kind of narcissistic though, right? I just thought of that.
I mean, yes and no, I guess, but in that sense, all that is marketing is narcissistic. If we're gonna go that deep, right? Like philosophy here on the Outdoor Podcast. But no, I don't think it's narcissistic. I think it's sound marketing and good thinking about that. Because every time I fire up my Traeger, I'm like, dude, props Courtney and CJ. Thanks for the Traeger, and I use it all the time.
On the way over here, I was thinking about when you cut your foot. And it had to do with that Traeger.
It had to do with that Traeger. And that darn beer can chicken with white wine reduction on those roasted fucking potatoes. That's okay, man.
Yes.
You know what? That was a good. I got to be one of the few guys who was sitting in the ER the day after Christmas. Right?
Oh gosh.
Check that box. But yeah, that was a Traeger tale. Again. Thank you, Courtney and CJ, for the Traeger. But yeah, you know what? That's my own fault for stepping on glass, right? Don't go outside barefoot.
Yeah.
Here I am, yet again, outside
I got
barefoot.
my shoes on, dude.
Yeah, it's okay, dude. We got a firm no glass by the pool rule.
I love how you're surfed out, and I'm like semi-realtored out right now.
You're a professional, dude, and
I'm still dressing for the job I want. You're like you're like, I've made it.
Dude, by the way, let me tell you the next segment that Salty Crew needs to go after, and I'll gladly take this on. Disney dads. The SPF UV protection on these things, right? Like, I can't be out deep sea fishing on the weekends. Like, I'm freaking tied up with the annual pass out at Disney. But, dude, the Disney dad market, keeping the sun off us, keeping the dermatologist happy. That's where I'm rocking this thing all day.
Yeah, once you go protection,
Yeah.
you don't go back because you're like, whoa, this is, you do. I mean, I was on the boat all day yesterday, and I had the button, hood was all around me, glasses on. I mean, like minimal. You couldn't tell that an engine broke down and we putted back for like 8 hours.
Dude, that's so miserable.
Sorry, honey, got home late.
Oops. Yeah.
But we had 2 engines, so we made it back, so we're good.
Yeah. You just limp back. Yeah, and not to turn this thing into a Salty Crew ad. Again, not my intention. But, like, dude, once you go, like, full, and you're not worried about reapplying sunscreen and all that crap, like, and it's breeze, I'm out at freaking Epcot. It's 94 degrees. I'm just rocking this thing. I'm fine.
Yeah. Put some water on it, and next thing you know, you got, like, a wet towel on you.
So, anyways, Disney dads.
Disney dads.
Think about that.
Oof. There was a Disney cruise ship going on. I was just like, oh.
You need a collab with those guys that do all the Disney branded stuff, the apparel dudes. I always want to call them Results, but it's like RVSLT or whatever. They've got like all the licensed Disney designs.
I got a quick little story here so when I think I was like 18 or 19 years old, and surfing was going to be the thing. I wanted to do the surfing thing. And I remember I had this guy that I really looked up to, and I was like, dude, what can I do? What am I missing? What can I do? And he goes, you need to celebrate other people's success.
Yeah.
And you need to have amnesia when you lose. Like, it lasts with you way too long.
Yeah.
And I still remember that to this day, and I still have to remind myself that of every day. Because you open up your phone and it's just like everyone's killing it, and it's the thief of joy, right?
Correct.
Like comparing yourself.
Everyone's more successful than you. Everyone's crushing it.
And so like that was something I learned at such a young age that at 44 I still have to apply daily.
Yep.
I don't know why that just popped into my head, but I was just thinking like those little things keep you camelback full of water so you can run for the next 10 years and you're just not like burnt out after, it's such a long game here,
It is. Yeah. Moving on quickly from hurdles, failures, not letting that stuff dwell on you, eating you alive, dude, that's huge.
Yeah.
Gigantic. Which is a tough one. And then, of course, the result of social media and what that puts on us, that's difficult. Mm-hmm. Difficult for adults, difficult for kids, difficult for everyone. All right, so how are we doing on time, Gio?
We are at this one, 42 minutes. Nice.
All right.
What's the sweet spot, like 45 or something, they say?
We usually hit about 45 minutes. Yeah, we get about 45
Was there anything else in the notes, or?
We should probably... What I'll do is I'll kind of.
I know again.
I'll
But I mean, like I think another good thing is, like, I know we're talking about real estate and stuff, but like, and there's been all these shifts and everything, but like, I mean, we talk about musical chairs. It was like 4 or 5 years ago, every real estate agent jumped ship to somewhere else, and when the music stopped, sit down, and then it's like the lenders sort of did the full musical chair thing, and was like, everyone sort of, I don't want to say jump ship, but it's musical chairs,
Yeah.
and then so, because I watched you go through it and live through it, and now we're about 2 years removed, a year removed, like,
Yep.
I mean, time flies when you're having fun, but like, tell me that from a realtor point, as far as like what you found out. I know we were talking about it before. You had an office, and I don't know if you just fill me in on that stuff, because I don't, as an agent, we know all you lenders did all those things. And, and listen, we don't want your job. I don't know if you look at us and go, oh, you guys got it easy, because I look at you and go, hell to the no.
Which is wonderful, right? It's so great that people are built to be in those different channels, because I got to tell you right now, I don't want to do a realtor's job, and realtors don't want to do my job.
Amen.
You know what I mean? Which is good. That's what creates that really awesome symbiotic partnership. And, making my move over to guaranteed rate was, first off, probably like the scariest professional thing I'd ever done, right? But like, I knew it was time. And it's weird because mortgage is like somewhat nebulous. Like it's very difficult to kind of understand all the different pockets, right? Like, oh, do you work for a bank? Oh, cool. But is it a bank like Chase or Bank of America, or are you like a mortgage banker, right? Which is what I am, a mortgage banker. And then
that's a really good point, because that's all word salad to realtors.
Right,
we're like,
yeah.
What language is that?
Yeah, and day one, in realtor speak, and kind of like in common like knowledge, everyone's a broker, right? You're a mortgage broker, you're a mortgage broker, you're a mortgage broker. Then you go deeper into the world that is mortgage, and you're like, oh wait, no, there's a lot more to this thing. Like, you're a banker. Wait, are you direct to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Ginnie Mae? And not that there's, I got to tell you right now, dude, there is nothing wrong with being a mortgage broker. And I do broker some funky loans, the Ford National, like that, some of that weird stuff. I broker that out still. There are pros and cons to sort of both sides. I've always been a mortgage banker. I've always been direct to the big agencies, and what the transition from my prior employer to guaranteed rate for me, it really kind of came down to like sort of three things, right? Like culture. Culture's paramount, because culture, I think, is what keeps a team sort of all together and inclusive and sort of having fun in what is admittedly like a really, really, really stressful industry that we've all chosen to be in. It was about technology, because I was pretty hindered there at my previous company, which again was a great company, but it was a smaller company. If you wanted to get the owner on the phone, you pick up the phone, call the owner, right? Like, as opposed to going to like guaranteed rate, the second largest lender in the country, absolute monster, thousands and thousands of different thing, right?
Yeah.
And so technology was a big thing. And then product offerings, dude. Like, I mean, how many times would I call you back and be like, hey, sorry, like, great people, great credit score, solid income, but I don't really have a competitive jumbo product to help them out. Like, no, sorry, I can't help them build their beach house because I don't really have a badass construction to permanent loan. And that, in my world, is inexcusable. That's the kiss of death. Like, I got to have all those tools in my tool chest. I got to be able to do all those loans, because I can't be calling my agents back and saying, hey, sorry, they were super qualified, awesome buyers.
Yeah.
My fault. I can't do that deal. Like, that's not okay. So ultimately, that was the platform that Guaranteed Rate provided, me and my partner and all our people, was really kind of just like culture. It kept the culture the way we wanted it to be. We didn't get lost in some numbers. They're big, but they're small enough to have like that core local presence, local feeling, like quite frankly, what agents and what borrowers need. And then the technology, and then, dude, I can do everything. I can do everything under the sun. And if I can't do it in-house, I can broker it, right? So
Yeah.
scariest thing ever, dude, drinking from a fire hose for like 90 days, maybe 4 months, but it worked out. Badass. We're loving it. We're super happy where we're at. But yeah, I forgot. You watched me be like a total kind of like basket case while I was going through that whole transition.
Dude, I always got, what do they mean was like, oh yeah, I can just walk over to underwriting and, you know, put them in the headlock and be like, ha, like, what does that even mean?
You said it, not me. I cannot say that on a recording.
Okay.
Put the underwriter in a headlock. Oh
Yeah,
my God. Yeah, no.
I mean, yeah, I know that's like, but no, I always just think of those things where I'm just like, what really, you know?
Yeah, the world of mortgage, it's funny, dude. It's complicated. It's a lot more corporate, which is interesting, because then, like, on the other side, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like, there's days that I look at being an agent and truly getting to run your own business. You guys are 1099. You're freaking writing off everything under the sun. It's awesome. Like, you're okay. You've got a broker, you do, and like they're the one carrying the liability. You have to answer to them, but you're nobody's employee but your own. You're running your own business. You got to answer to Courtney.
Well, and I was just gonna say, like, I look at the line and then I, throw the big toe over the line, and that's when I get my butt chewed. Like, you can't write that text. What the heck are you doing? I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you've got get back to a firm partnership. Back to a firm partnership. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, man, congratulations on that, dude. I mean,
it's the next chapter.
Yeah.
And then we'll continue to grow and evolve and see what the next chapter is after that.
Yes, that's it.